Today we're creating 3 Christmas projects inspired by Kirkland's, so let's get crafting. The first piece I'm making is inspired by this plaid monogrammed ornament plaque. As of this video, Kirkland has it on sale for $24, but it's regularly $34.99. In order to duplicate this look, I'm using an ornament plaque from Dollar Tree, some Waverly white chalk paint, as well as some Waverly ink chalk paint, a black Sharpie, and a few small pieces of red and green vinyl. Now, I started out by using 2 coats of the Waverly chalk paint on the back of the plaque, and then I painted the ornament cap with a coat of black. Once the paint had dried, I lined up the plaque with the grid lines on my work mat and used some washi tape to hold it in place. Then I drew my lines for the plaid pattern using my fine point Sharpie. The first set of lines I drew 2.5 inches apart, and then I drew the second set 1/4 inch from the first. I opened up Cricut Design Space and used the Baskerville Old Face font for my monogram, and then I chose some holly leaves and berries from the images in Cricut Access. As you can see, before I cut the red vinyl, I moved the items to the other side of the mat because there was a chunk of red missing on the left side from a previous project, but I tend to do that often so my mats aren't as quick to wear out in just one corner. I weeded each piece of vinyl and topped them with transfer tape. Now here I'm using some scraps of transfer tape that I still had, but I don't really recommend this brand. I'll link my favorite in the description box below, just in case you're looking for a good brand. I applied the monogram to the center of the plaque, and the holly leaves and berries were added to the top. And project 1 is complete. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you feel like this was a good substitution for the original inspiration piece. Well, it looks like Casey has decided on project number 2. I am looking for a smaller sign to sit on a shelf that I have, but I'm using this 24 by 24 inch wall plaque from Kirkland's as the inspiration. And for this project, I'm using these 8x8 wood blanks from Amazon, some Waverly Antique Wax, and 2 pieces of cardstock, 1 white and 1 black, and of course my Cricut. To match the stained edge of the Kirkland's piece, I went around the edge of the wood frame with a single light coat of the Waverly Antique Wax and then set it aside to dry for a bit. While that was drying, I pulled up Cricut Design Space and made a 7 by 7 inch white square to fill the inside of the wood frame. Then I made another square that was 6.5 by 6.5 inches for the black inset. I searched through Cricut Access for a simple snowflake, centered it on the black square, and used the slice feature to cut the snowflake into the black square. I cut out both pieces of the cardstock, the white and the black, and as you can see, you end up with a little bonus snowflake that you could use on another project if you needed it. I applied some zig 2-way glue to the back of each piece of cardstock. The reason they call this 2-way glue is because it goes on wet and has a blue color to it. When you use it that way, it gives you a permanent bond. However, if you let it dry for a few minutes until the blue glue turns to clear, then you have a removable bond, kind of like what you get on the back of a Post-it note. So I let the white cardstock dry completely. That way I can easily remove the paper later on and use the frame for another project or another season. And I added glue to the back of the black cardstock, being certain to get some of all of the little cut pieces so it would lay nicely once I put it on top. Then I centered the black piece on top of the white, and project 2 is complete. It can't get much simpler than that, let me tell you. The inspiration piece is selling for around $45. And since I already had cardstock, stain, and glue, I only had to pay $3 for the wood blank. Saved myself $42, and it was the perfect size for my shelf. For the last project, I'm once again using a blank wooden frame to replicate this cute wall plaque. As you can see, I've already stained the edges like I did with the last project. And by the way, I'll have all the supplies I've used today in the description box below to make it easy for you to get what you need so you can create these projects for your home. After letting the stain dry on the edges, I painted 1 coat of white chalk paint to the entire back of the box, and once that had a chance to dry, I went over it with a single coat of berry red acrylic paint using a dry brush method. I wanted the white almost completely covered with just a little bit showing through here and there. While the paint was drying, I went into Design Space and added a red 7x7 square to use as a template while I created the design. Taking a look at the original, I chose 2 fonts that I felt looked close enough and typed out the saying. Once I had all of the letters laid out the way I wanted, I highlighted the entire design and used the weld feature so they would stay in the exact same position as they were being cut. After the project was cut, I went ahead and got it weeded and applied the transfer tape to the top of the design. And the final step was taking the design and centering it in the frame, making sure it was lined up pretty good, smoothing it all down, and there is project number 3. I hope you enjoyed this Kirkland's inspired video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. You don't want to miss the fun holiday projects that will be coming soon. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time in the craft room.